Hello and welcome to our huge Manchester United versus Real Madrid debate. Now, we're doing this today because we play Real Madrid twice in pre-season, once in America and once in the Super Cup final. There's also been endless transfer links about them trying to buy our players, us trying to buy their players. So we thought we'd go through it and see who's doing best out of all of this between the two massive European clubs. I mean, some would include Barcelona in that, but we're not for the sake of this debate. So who could be more impartial than Full-Time Devils and Paul and Adam to discuss who is doing better, Manchester United or Real Madrid? We will start with James Rodriguez. Do we rate him as a player? Do we see him coming to Manchester United? Is it Real Madrid trying to get rid of him and using the club, or are Manchester United trying to buy the Colombian wonder kid and Real Madrid would actually lose out by selling him? What do we think? Paul?
I don't think you can make a reasonable argument that says Real Madrid would lose out by selling him, given that he was a peripheral figure in a team that won La Liga and the Champions League and has gone back-to-back in the Champions League as well. So it's hard to make an argument that they would really suffer. But he is a very good player. I mean, we've seen this. If you think back to World Cup 2014, there's a strong argument. I think maybe Leo Messi won player of the tournament in that tournament in the end, but it was a kind of ridiculous decision. And it was pretty clear that Rodriguez was the golden boot winner, and he was basically the best player in that tournament. The real knock against United signing Rodriguez is not about the quality of Rodriguez. It's about the fact that he really is a number 10. And Jose Mourinho's relationship with number 10s at United has been pretty complicated so far. And essentially, there are certain formations that we can't play if we have a number 10 in the squad who has to play every week. So I mean, he has played off the left sometimes for Madrid, but I think it's pretty clear he's not as effective in that role.
Okay, Adam, James
Rodriguez, or James, as I like to call him. James is an interesting one. I'm a big fan of James Rodriguez. I think he's a great talent. I think he scores goals, makes goals. He's got skill. Can play in, as Paul said, he's better in the number 10 position, but he can play in a number of positions after striker. And when you look at Manchester United side and you hear rumours about Perisic signing for Manchester United, etc. I would much rather James Rodriguez that. But at this moment in time, like Paul also said, that's probably not what we need. We've got the likes of Mkhitaryan and Mata who can play in that number 10 position. Do we need an overload of players there? We've seen that in the past where we have so many number 10s. Wayne Rooney's probably maybe going to stick around and hang around as well. So what's going on there with Wayne Rooney? Is he still going to be here next season? Because the signs from him are he doesn't want to leave. So when you look at all these things taken into consideration, and then you look, I know we all hate transfer rumours and stuff, but when reports come out and when stories come out, you can kind of gauge whether there are some truths in them by who they come from, who's telling you that piece of information, and what would they gain from telling you that information. And I think you see a lot of the Spanish press reporting it, a lot of Madrid officials talking about it. But I don't think Manchester United are actually interested in this guy, in signing him. He doesn't strike me like a Jose Mourinho player, like someone that he would want to sign for this team. Someone may prove me wrong and say, he said this, which is great about him in the past. I don't know, but he doesn't strike me as a Jose Mourinho signing. And I don't think it's really a position that we need to worry about right now. I think Real Madrid, they want to raise funds for Kylian Mbappe, Eden Hazard, these kind of guys. And they're trying to get that news out there that James Rodriguez is available. Do I think Ed Woodward would want to make this signing? Hell yes, I do. I think he would want to make this signing simply because isn't James like one of the biggest players on social media? You tap into that South American market. Mm-hmm. He is a great player. He sells shirts. So I can see why the club would be interested in it. And he's a great player as well. But I just don't think Jose Mourinho will be pushing for that one.
Okay, all right. Then let's move on to a Manchester United player endlessly linked with Real Madrid, David De Gea. Is it all over? Is this going to be what happens every summer? Will he go this year? Paul?
I don't know the answer to any of those questions, Sam. Not a single one of them. This is based on nothing other than the reading of the tea leaves of WhatsApp. As Adam said, you kind of get a sense of where stories are coming from and what their kind of texture is. It doesn't seem to me like this is the summer De Gea leaves for Real Madrid, but that's not based on anything other than the level of speculation and the type of speculation. But sometimes these things do happen quickly. I think the one way that it would have been reasonable to assume that De Gea might be off is if, for some reason, the Ronaldo thing did turn out to be more than just him having a hissy fit over his tax bill. Then I think we would see De Gea leave, but like Ronaldo coming in the other direction would make that feel a little different. But first off, this is not a rumour that's ever going away. Unless Madrid sign like Donnarumma, then maybe at that point that it does go away because they've addressed that position for a generation. That's the only thing that stops this rumour. Otherwise, it's happening every summer because people will just be joining the dots. I guess the other way it stops happening is if United re-hit that phenomenally successful level of really, really winning league title after league title and getting to the Champions League final regularly. But we still have no idea whether that's going to happen in De Gea's lifetime. Sorry, everyone.
Lifetime.
Yeah, well, like we have just witnessed an absolute freak event in the history of football with a period of like hitherto unknown dominance. So it might not ever happen quite like that again. But yeah, so I think that would take the rumour away. I think Madrid signing a young, phenomenal goalkeeper would take the rumour away. Otherwise, it's here to stay.
Okay, Adam. Big Dave.
Look, at the end of the season, I think a lot of people remember me saying, this is the last time we're going to see Dave. If Dave doesn't start in the Europa League final, he doesn't start against Palace, this is the last time we're going to see Dave in a United shirt. But as the weeks have gone on and the sounds from Real Madrid seem to be, Navas is all right. And then you see the whole Raiola Donnarumma thing going on. It's given me a little bit more confidence that David De Gea will be a Man United player next season. Like Paul says, if they sign Donnarumma, he'll be a Man United player for a very long time. Because Donnarumma and David De Gea will probably be the best two goalkeepers in the world for the next 10, 15 years if everything goes as it should do. So, look, if they sign Donnarumma, they're not going to get David De Gea. But there's always that thing where he could go. And when I get confident and excited about something, it usually goes wrong. So I don't want to get overexcited, but I've got a feeling Dave might shock me and still be in a Man United shirt next season. Real Madrid have won back-to-back Champions Leagues. They've won a La Liga. Do they really need to strengthen that much in goal? They already haven't got great amounts of funds to sign the players they want. They want Mbappe's, the Hazards first. You hear about 60 million for David De Gea when Jordan Pickford's gone for 30. You're having an absolute laugh. So I don't think they can muster up the money United would want to let Dave go. I don't think Dave will force a move. And if that stays the same, then Dave's our man, and I'm buzzing.
Do you think it's possible if they'd lost the Champions League final, this conversation would be different?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, because then Real Madrid always seem to have this, now we have to show them who's boss and we have to fix up and we have to do this. So they kind of go into recovery mode as soon as they fail to win a Champions League, which is kind of bizarre. One thing I would say to David De Gea is, though, as well, I know he watches, Real Madrid have won 3 of the last 4 Champions Leagues. It's very unlikely they'll win any more for a long time. So
that's just maths. That's just straightforward maths.
Their team is rubbish.
Yeah, so
there's no way they can do any more.
They're not going to repeat that feat. It's crazy.
No,
it's
rubbish.
Crazy.
They're
not
absolute rubbish.
Feat. So Dave, just stay at Man United. What's the point? You're going to leave.
What even good players have they got? Name one. Name one
Ronaldo's
good player.
all right, but look, he wants to come to
Well,
United.
yeah, maybe Ronaldo, sure. Yeah, they're rubbish. We've had a few comments, so I'll read some to you. Jonathan Vader says, get James in. He's keen on James. Adam Dalton would rather sign Fabinho and play 4-3-3 rather than James.
Yeah,
me too.
Sensible signings.
I would like to know Jonathan Vader where he would suggest that we play James. That'd be my question if we get him in.
Jonathan, comments?
Not that I don't think we should get him in. I'm just interested in what people think about where he would then play.
Throw down, dog.
Visual NCERT or insert says Dave is staying, James isn't coming, Morata is coming, deal with it.
All right, let's just go then. Forget this, lads.
Deal with it.
Dave's staying. Who's coming? Morata is coming.
Morata is coming, James isn't, Dave is staying, deal with it.
What about Ronaldo?
Doesn't mention Ronaldo.
I think that's correct. I'm dealing with it.
The debate goes on.
We'll come to Ronaldo soon. Peder Holmes says Donnarumma is going to Real.
That's good news. I hope he does.
That's ideal.
I hope
that is ideal.
Donnarumma would have been an ideal replacement for David De Gea if you overlook Joe Pereira coming in. But if Dave don't go and Donnarumma goes there, Dave, I love you, Dave.
Here's the only problem, I think, with buying. If David De Gea was to go to Real Madrid and we buy Donnarumma, what is David De Gea? Let's say 26? 27, something like that. In, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years' time, when he's now getting a bit older, he's Keylor Navas age, and Donnarumma is now 25, what happens? He goes to Real Madrid.
Real Madrid signed Donnarumma and replaced Dave with Donnarumma.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think better that they get him now. Otherwise, we end up losing 2 goalkeepers.
Again, maths. It's just solid.
That's maths. That is what will happen. There is no doubt about that in my mind. Right, some of you right now might see a quick 30-second ad break.
Some of you may not.
Yeah, you might not. So if you didn't, cool. Google them, I guess. There are adverts out there. Now, let's talk about Alvaro Morata. Expecting movement when the fee is agreed. There's lots of talk that this one is basically nailed on. There are discussions that sort of the negotiations between player and club are done. It's just the Real Madrid-Manchester United negotiations. What do we think about Alvaro Morata?
After you, Adam.
Oh,
Alvaro Morata, what a wonderful
sitting on the fence.
Yeah, I like him. Look, if you would have told me to pick a number 9 or a striker for Manchester United to sign, Alvaro Morata wouldn't have been that guy. But he is a very talented player. Comes in at 24 years old. He's got experience at Juve and Real Madrid. Scored 20 goals for them last season, and he wasn't starting many games. Yeah. He's got a past with Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho gave him his debut at Real Madrid. He's got that little bond with him. He's got a little bond with Pogba from Juventus days when them two used to link up quite a lot. And I think there's many positives to signing Alvaro Morata. I think when you look at the transfer fee and you look at the fact that he's never really led the line, he's never really been the main man anywhere. Yeah. And this will be the first time that he comes in and he has that huge expectation put on him. Because, I mean, it's easy to score 20 goals in a Real Madrid team that's got Ronaldo, Benzema, putting you 3-4-0 up every game, and then you come on and smack one in. So,
do you know, actually, it probably, because how many did Javier Hernandez get when he was there? I mean, another, like Michael Owen is another example. He was at a very successful Real Madrid team. He was European Player of the Year. There are players that go to Real Madrid and don't get that many goals.
Owen got a lot of goals when he went there.
I think he got
always
he didn't get hundreds.
He was always injured.
No, Morata didn't score hundreds, Sam.
No. I'm saying Michael Owen didn't score hundreds. I think he scored like 11 league goals or something.
Right.
But his problem wasn't his goal scoring. His problem was his fitness.
Yeah, sure. I was just trying to use some examples to suggest that perhaps it isn't as straightforward as we might think to go to Real Madrid and just score loads of goals.
It's true,
right? They do have lots of strikers that don't do it.
But I think he used to start games against like Leganes, and all due respect, like, come on, like starting games, leading the line for Man United, week in, week out is completely different. Now I hope that's not the case because I want to see Rashford playing as well. But Morata would be expected to come in, be expected to score goals. And that's the only question mark over him. He isn't tested at that, being relied on level yet. But the experience that he has and what he's done so far, I think it's an exciting signing. And when you look at, like, people spoke about Lukaku, I think Lukaku would have been going towards that. I know he's nothing like Zlatan, but it would have been like the way we played with Zlatan, where everything was looking for Zlatan to feet in the air. Let's get Zlatan to score. And I feel we would have been the same with Lukaku. Whereas Morata, I feel it's like when you saw Zlatan got injured, United played a lot more football, a lot more fluid football, a lot more people were looking to score. And I think Morata would encourage that as well.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of Morata's kind of detailed numbers because we've talked about how he scored a lot of goals and didn't make that many appearances. Yeah. His goals per 90-minute tally is incredibly impressive. So he scored literally bang on a goal per 90 minutes of La Liga football, 0.9 in the Copa del Rey, 1.6 goals per 90 minutes of Champions League football. Now those statistics are affected by the nature of the sample size. So 1.6 goals per 90, I think it would be completely unreasonable to assume that he would keep up that level if he was playing 90 minutes every game, because otherwise he would be the best player in the history of football, which that'd be nice if that turned out to be the case. But he also, in La Liga, is also making 1.1 key pass per game, which is like pretty decent numbers for someone, not per game, sorry, per 90 minutes, which is very decent numbers for somebody that's also scoring 1 per 90 minutes. So that's like he's creating a goal scoring chance every 90 minutes of football and scoring a goal every 90 minutes of football. I think, players' numbers in you talked about how not everyone goes to Madrid and is successful, but Hernandez actually did score quite a lot of goals towards the back end of his season there. And the numbers, those kind of numbers for both Barcelona and Real Madrid do get distorted by the nature of La Liga. But even though he's not necessarily, like Adam said, he's not the player that too many people would have gone, yes, this is the guy. In a way, there's some excitement about that, because if Mourinho has gone, actually, no, this is the guy, then he's a pretty good judge of a player. So I don't know, it could be exciting. And the one thing I would say is the transfer fee is really, everyone's got to not freak out about the transfer fee, because it's going to be an amount of money that you, the good people watching this, and all of us do not believe to be a reasonable amount of money. Like, that is, we all have to accept that that's going to be the case, because everyone's like, well, I'll get him for 50 but not 90. I'm like, sorry, it's no longer like that. You just have to accept the number's going to make your head hurt a bit.
Yeah, transfer market is a funny place. Bear with me.
You all right, Sam?
Yeah, everything's going okay. No problem.
Drop the bollock at that transfer fee, did you?
Something like that. Here's a question for you, though. Do you think there is a benefit? I'm just putting another microphone on because my microphone stopped working. Do you think there is a benefit to signing Alvaro Morata, given the amount of success he's had around Europe? And by that I mean in terms of, let's say Wayne Rooney goes, and Schweinsteiger went, and we've lost Giggs and Scholes over the years. We're bringing in someone who's just won the Champions League. He was in a Champions League final the previous season with Juventus. I know he didn't necessarily do a lot to be there, but he was in and around consistently, successfully, title-winning teams with Juventus and Real Madrid, and there's something good about having that in the team, which, if you say, people might have gone, well, Lukaku's guaranteed 20 league goals. Lukaku hasn't ever won anything. He's never had to cross the finish line. He's never had to look into his teammates' eyes and goes, we can do this, we've got this, I know how to do it. Whereas Morata has.
It definitely doesn't hurt, but I don't think you'd put him in that category of player like you mentioned Schweinsteiger, who's just a kind of
serial winner.
A career of winning. Like,
yeah.
I think Morata's kind of, I don't know, he's got a taste for it. That's got to be good, and he will know something about what it takes to win. But he's not going to dramatically change the tenure of the dressing room, you wouldn't imagine.
No. Am I stupid in saying this? But or maybe I'm stupid anyway. But am I stupid in saying this one? I said it to Paul before, and I met him. Jose Mourinho loves Paul Pogba. He's got a lot of trust in Paul Pogba, and him and Zlatan had a proper relationship on the field. You could clearly see it. Whenever those two played, they seemed to link up quite a lot. Zlatan should have doubled his goal scoring tally last season, and Paul Pogba's wasted assists alone. And could it have been a case where, with Zlatan not able to renew, with Griezmann, someone that Pogba was looking forward to playing with, not coming in, do you think it may have been a case where Jose has asked Pogba for his opinion as well on a player that could help get his assist tally up, someone that could help link up with him, someone that is maybe on his wavelength? Because we've seen them do it before at Juventus, and I don't want to get overexcited like, this is the new, Carrick and Van Persie or anything, and they're going to fire us to number 21. But there could be something there where Pogba's had an influence in this as well because of his past with Morata. I don't know, it's something that I just thought about randomly.
You think probably they'd take that into consideration, but I don't know if they would ask him. But also, I suppose if you
I think they would, though.
Well, they might have like casually said, "Are you friends with him?" I guess, but I can't imagine if they join. But think about the number of names that are available if they're going to buy one. It's a very limited pool.
But I think I have some. I found it very interesting when Adam mentioned that the other day, because I think Pogba is the player that Mourinho's building this team around. Yeah. And so in that capacity, you can imagine him having that conversation. What do you think? Who are the players that have got the best out of you? Not that that's going to then dictate United's transfer policy, but just as an additional data point in the decision-making process. It's kind of a heartening thought. Anyway, that's why I'm tempted to believe it, just because I like the idea of it. It sounds nice.
It's definitely
Write it up
nice
as an
idea.
exclusive right now.
Well, you'd think at the very least they would have looked back and considered how they paired together.
No, watch some of Morata's goals. Yeah, for Juventus. Please
Mm-hmm.
do. That's what I'm saying.
Good advice. Right, number 4, the big one. Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh,
Is this potential? Is this tax? Should we all be running around on rooftops celebrating, or just sitting here going, do you know what? He uses us a lot, doesn't he?
I don't think he used us this time, by the way. I think we always get caught up in this.
Mm-hmm.
We always get dragged into it because obviously Ronaldo's has a pitch fit. Man United are going to come into the equation because we know of his past with the club. We know United would be interested. It's not like he come out and said, I want to leave Real Madrid and I want to go to Manchester United. He hasn't done that. But I'm surprised so many people got drawn into this because it's been obvious from day one. And I think even now today we hear that, oh yeah, Ronaldo's fine now, he's all right. It was obvious he was going to throw a little bit of his toys out of the pram. He's been hit with these tax fraud allegations, and he probably wants a little bit more support from Real Madrid, publicly, privately, legally, financially. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't think it's for a new contract. I just think it's because he signed a contract within the last 12 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, November.
I don't think it's for a new contract. I think it's simply to get some support in his legal dealings, which I don't know whether he's right or wrong in them or not, so I can't really comment. As soon as we hear him say that, and we hear those them stories being briefed to the press, because they were clearly briefed to the press the way they spread, that he was unhappy at Real Madrid, he was looking for a way out. The press then say, oh, he's going to Man United. Then our fans, United fans start saying, oh, Ronaldo's going to come back. And then when he eventually stays at Real Madrid, everyone says, oh, he's used United. I don't think he actually has used United, but I think he has actually used the press and used the potential of leaving Real Madrid to get what he wants at the club in sort of power struggle. I don't think he was ever joining Man United.
Okay, Paul.
I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about this story, and it's specifically something that Adam referenced there. I've seen loads of people say this happens every year, and I think it's only ever happened once. I think it only ever happened once before, and I think that was in the summer of 2013 when lots of journalists will say that he said to Manchester United he was going to rejoin them that summer. Mike Phelan
tell Evra.
Yeah, and Mike Phelan came out and said publicly, if Ferguson had stayed, there would have been a signing that, well, I think we all know who it would have been, that would have been a complete game changer. I suspect that what would have happened in that summer if Fergie had stayed, who knows? I think Ronaldo might have come back to United in the summer of 2013. I think that was an actual real story. And
are you saying we would have had 2 more Champions Leagues?
Yeah, basically. At least. But we might get... No, never mind. The fact that people think he's been linked with United every year is kind of worrying, because actually there are stories which appear every year with headlines with Ronaldo's name and Manchester United's name next to each other, and genuinely fake Twitter accounts with claiming knowledge for the sake of retweets, which do exist. Those people will have linked him every year because it's absolute gold. But people's inability to spot the difference between different types of rumours, different types of journalistic coverage, is a real worry way outside of the realm of transfer rumours. We've seen how easily stories with no factual merit spread. Guaranteed, we all know people who have shared stuff on Facebook that is purporting to be true, which, when you analyse it, has literally no truth in it. And I'm not talking about transfer rumours here, I'm talking about global news on a much more serious scale. And actually, we all need to get a bit better in our literacy around these issues. So that's why this has given me a bit of a bee in my bonnet, because while I completely understand the kind of cynical response to the story in the first place, it's almost like it's right to be cynical about Ronaldo's motivation when he has a massive hissy fit in the midst of a tax story. It's not right to be saying people are just making this up, because I think it's abundantly clear this time around, journalists weren't making this story up. They were being fed information by Ronaldo's team that, this is it. It's impossible for me to come back ever. And now, of course, Perez has gone, come on, just come back. And Ronaldo's gone, oh, all right, yeah, apparently that's fine then. So it seems to have passed very quickly. But yeah, that's my bee in my bonnet about this story. I actually slightly disagree with something that Adam said there, which is that journalists then link United, because I think that the stuff that I was seeing was journalists saying Ronaldo's camp prefer United, as PSG will do anything to make it happen, but Ronaldo's camp prefer United, and I suspect that information probably didn't just get made up by the journalists.
No, my view of this, if anybody cares, was that it was clear his reaction was not necessarily to do with Real Madrid as a football club, but to do with the way his tax life has been dealt with, not to mention the fact that he's endlessly jeered and booed and generally doesn't ever seem too ecstatic to be a Real Madrid player. And that I didn't think he would end up forcing a move, but I do think Real Madrid could have taken the opportunity to get rid of him on his terms, as opposed to ever having to be the club that forced Ronaldo out, which eventually they probably will be. And I genuinely thought, not like at 90%, but to some extent, it's possible they will call his bluff. Because one day, let's say in 2 years' time, if they think he's 34 now, and actually his body seems to have completely collapsed, we don't know what's going to happen, they go, well, we've got to keep dropping him, but he keeps having a fit, and everybody loves him. We look like the bad guys here. If they let him just storm out, that is a dream for them, especially when he's still worth loads of money, and then they can reinvest it. I saw it as very, not a realistic transfer for Manchester United, but I saw the prospect of them calling his bluff totally plausible.
Yeah, and I also thought it was at least as realistic that he'd end up at PSG.
Yes,
that he's going to make a move, I don't think is completely out of the bounds of reality. Particularly if you imagine, Ronaldo's personality. We all know that Ronaldo is a narcissist in the true sense. Like, Ronaldo is a person whose worldview is constructed like rest of world. Like, that isn't a criticism. The man had to build himself into something to become the player he is. And that doesn't mean he's not a nice guy and not generous to others, because there's many he's done lots of very great generous things in his life. It doesn't mean he's a bad person. It just means that's his wiring. And when you think about a person like that being booed by the people he's winning leagues and multiple Champions Leagues for, it must be shattering for him. So I do think at some point that might get to him.
I love Ronaldo. I've just been listening to you lot talk about Ronaldo, and I know Ronaldo's not coming back to Manchester United, probably ever. But how can you boo that guy? How can I know they boo everybody. They went for a stage of booing Casillas, didn't they? And Raul got treated like shit at times, and they're a bunch of wankers. But if Cristiano, he will never have it as good as he had it at Manchester United, and we will never have a player as good as Cristiano Ronaldo was at Manchester United. Probably never. And, oh man, I just love that guy, man. What a man. That's why everyone falls in love with these stories. That's why everyone sees a tweet by In the Know agent saying Ronaldo's coming home. And they're like, oh my God, it's happening, because we really want it to happen. We really want to believe it. It's not happening.
Let me ask you a question.
Come on,
from
Ronaldo.
Grant Baines in the comments. Grant says, does Makola have a sweat patch?
No, it's my T-shirt.
We're not entirely convinced. Ian Mullins says, and I don't think he's ever used Manchester United. The papers make the rumours, not Ronaldo. Which means I think he completely ignored everything you said, Paul.
You know what I think happens sometimes? Sometimes people are watching the stream and commenting live. So they're watching 10 minutes ago, but they're commenting live. Okay, unless he's just not listening to Paul.
Stephen is about to stir the pot. Let him go to PSG.
No.
I can't think of any. It would be so bad if he left Real Madrid and went to PSG. I'd be so upset.
If he leaves Real Madrid this summer, which isn't happening, we've already said
Any summer,
yeah, but mainly the next couple of years, and he doesn't end up at Man United, I'll be shocked. Ed Woodward would Ed Woodward would sell his nan to make that deal happen.
I wouldn't be shocked at all, not at all, if he ended up at a different club, because I think ultimately Ronaldo's going to do what he thinks is best for him, and that's that. I think, like, yeah, he clearly has a degree of love for Man United, but it's a very specific kind of love. It's the kind of love you have for an ex who you think you've done better than when you move on, but you still kind of feel affectionate towards them. Like, it's not some deep spiritual, like, massive connection. I think he had that with Fergie, but that's a very different thing.
Okay, next one. Sula said, Adam, really? He used us. Paul! How about this for the next comment? From STNGRZ97. Man United are the ex-girlfriend that Ronaldo uses to threaten the current girlfriend to make him stay.
There you go.
And it all makes sense. And that was the last comment I had at this particular time. Yeah. Also, what he has with Manchester United and the fans exists like here. It's totally secure. And if he goes to PSG, he knows that doesn't affect this. This is safe forever. So he doesn't need to come back to improve anything, to change his reputation at United, because it's totally solid. Whereas if he goes to PSG, he can make a whole new army of people love him.
Do you think, obviously, it was some of the greatest years ever, so maybe not. But do you think, like, Ronaldo, we love Ronaldo a little bit more because he left us so quickly?
It's a weird one, because the way he left us was actually really unpleasant. Like, it was really very anti-United. It was.
Do you remember he shook his head on the bench?
He didn't score.
He threw his bib.
He didn't celebrate a goal for like the first half of the 2008-2009 season. He agreed with Sepp Blatter when Sepp Blatter said that players were treated as modern-day slaves.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of messed up. So it's interesting that he was just completely bulletproof in the eyes of United fans. Because, you know, when you said, like, he's got this here, and if he goes to PSG, my first thought was, actually, wouldn't that kind of make that kind of seem less special? Because he's like, oh, he could have come back, but he didn't. But actually, United fans don't seem to care what Ronaldo does. They still love him anyway.
Yeah, that's generally what I think. People are just like, there it is. Because I think because of how good he's been since he left, to one extent, you want your own possession of that thing, that magical thing that's happening elsewhere. So when he's going off and winning back-to-back Champions League, there's a part of you, I think, that thinks, well, we made him. He is us. When Ronaldo wins a Champions League, Manchester United win a Champions League by default, because Real Madrid have only won it because of Ronaldo, and Ronaldo is only Ronaldo because of Manchester United. So we've just won the Champions League. Come at me.
You know what's weird with Ronaldo? Do you know how Wayne Rooney kind of splits the fan base? Like, you have, I know you get one or two that dislike Ronaldo, but Wayne Rooney splits the fan base. You'll have predominantly like fans from around the world and everything that see him as he can do no wrong. And then you have like away sections of fans that won't sing his name and stuff like that. Yeah. But they'll sing Viva Ronaldo louder than anything. It's a bit of a weird one.
If Rooney had left 5 years ago, but if he'd left 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when he was really brilliant, and he was, when he was really amazing, but had the decline we've seen now, everybody would love him, because we know we got the best out of him, and he's, do you not think?
Not if he went to City.
No, of course not if he went to City. But let's say prior to that, he'd fallen out with Fergie, and Fergie had shipped him off to Barcelona. And at Barcelona, we'd have seen this decline. We'd all love Wayne Rooney, and we'd say, what a shame he's not done his best at Barcelona, but what a guy he was. But I think because we've seen that decline, and because he still hasn't really forced himself on the fans like he could have, people are indifferent towards him, whereas they aren't Ronaldo, I think.
I just want to shout out at this point to the guy at the back of the Stretford end, absolutely off his head, who every time people sing Viva Ronaldo, very angrily looks around and goes, I don't care about Ronnie don't care about me. All I care about is being here, watching MFC.
What a guy.
Very angry for like 10 minutes.
Guys, do you want to hear a stat? In history, only 4 men have won the Ballon d'Or while playing for Manchester United. 3 of those men are recognised in statue form outside of Old Trafford. Interesting, isn't it?
Are you saying Ronaldo should have a statue, Sam?
No, I just think that's interesting. In terms of the way he's received, the other people that did what he did at United have got statues. So maybe it's not weird that he's still adored because he did something that only 3 other people ever have.
And I hate people that say, like, it's usually fans, non-United fans that say, oh, why are you acting like Ronaldo's on loan, this, that, and the other? Listen, you lot have got statues of players that haven't done half the things he had done in his short career at Man United. Like, he has been one of the greatest players ever, and he's had some great years at Man United. Like, there is a reason we feel this bond towards him. Like, the man is, I think it's because we've seen him grow into that.
I was going to say, I think that makes a difference. The watching the development of just that mad step over Merchant, who, to be fair, I was like obsessed with when he was like that, because that was like, no one else is doing this. This is really exciting. To then just becoming a tank.
It's like De Gea, innit? Maybe we're like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because he was
it's
like
the goalkeeper version of Ronaldo, and this whole Real Madrid thing is like, oh man.
I want to see De Gea do a step over. Right, we must move on, guys. I'll give you, 30 seconds each to have a look. Or we can talk about it, I suppose. Who do you think has come out of? Who do you think is on top? Who will be on top by the end of the transfer window between Manchester United and Real Madrid in these deals, and I guess in the friendlies that we play against them in the Super Cup? Obviously, we talked about James, David De Gea, Morata, and Ronaldo. Paul, how do you see it? Who's winning the power balance?
I think it's a score draw, to be honest. If what we think is going to happen happens, there's a few different scenarios, right? Morata comes to United for a massive, insane money. I think we call that a draw, if that's the only bit of business that's done. If Morata comes to United and for reasonable money and De Gea goes to Madrid, I think we say Madrid come out of that ahead. I think if Ronaldo comes to United, then it's game over. We've won by absolutely miles, but I suspect that doesn't happen. And I think James almost is a kind of irrelevance in this, because say we do want him, it's clear Madrid don't, which is a bit different to Morata, because I don't think there's any pressure internally in Madrid to get rid of Morata. That would be like taking someone that they don't want, but giving them a huge amount of money that they do want. So I think draw under that scheme. James doesn't really play into it. De Gea goes there, they win. Ronaldo comes to us, we win. That's not going to happen.
If he comes to us, we win all of football.
Yeah.
We will win all of football as well.
Adam.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Who do you see wins this? Who comes out on top?
If United keep there, get Morata, we win. Well, we've taken a player that they don't really want and given them loads of money to be able to sign Kylian Mbappe. So, yeah. If we keep De Gea, we win, is how I'm looking at it. Because as I approached this summer, I thought De Gea was a goner. So if De Gea is still in a Manchester United shirt next season, we've won. Because, oh man, imagine De Gea is still here next season, guys. I don't know if you have taken that for granted already, that he's going to be here, because I haven't.
I think you've probably hit the nail on the head. I think perhaps the Ronaldo moving is so minuscule, and if it happens, that is massive, and that changes everything. But aside from that, if Manchester United keep David De Gea, who is the best goalkeeper in the world, still young, still developing, and also the longer he stays, I think the more chance of staying in the future is possible, because it gives Mourinho more chance to build a brilliant team that can challenge for things that he will want to win. Although, of course, the only thing he hasn't won is the Champions League, and he's won everything else in English football. But he probably wants to win those things again and again. Why wouldn't he?
He's won 2 Europa Leagues. That equals 1 Champions League, right?
Maybe 50?
Yeah.
How many retweets did that kid need for chicken nuggets? It's like that. How many Europa Leagues for 1 Champions League? 18 million? It's basically the same. So get Morata. That's all good. Keep David De Gea. We win by a landslide, I think. Let us know what you think. Get in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to Full Time Devils and enjoy the rest of your day.